San Antonio! Welcome to All Things San Antonio podcast with your host and favorite realtor, Brad Burns, and your other host and
favorite realtor,
Ken
realtor. Carter. And we are here with some very special guests. We have Ellie and Dan Morrison, the Voice of San Antonio. It's a new online magazine, is what I've been calling it. It's
great.
A perfect example of the. I think it's a breath of fresh air for San Antonio. I'm really excited to hear more about that. But we start with everything like we do every podcast. Like I said, I'm a transplant. He's a native born. This is All Things San Antonio. So what got you here? I know you're a fit. I'm curious. Like you're a long time San Antonio.
I'm a long time. Yes, lifelong and 5 generations.
That's
so
crazy.
Yeah, my dad's side of the family are from here. My great grandfather he immigrated here from Italy. So, but to Market Square, like literally from Italy, went through Veracruz, Mexico, and set up his Italian spice store in what was then called Produce Row, which is the El Mercado, basically, in Market Square. His name was Francisco Pizzini. So
I learned recently that Rico's cheese are Italian immigrants as well. They had immigrated to New Orleans and some stuff and everything, and they came here and they started or spices like that, and then they kind of changed it later in life and stuff like that. But
yeah, there was a big cohort of Italian immigrants at that time.
And we thought it was all Germans.
Right. No, the Germans found it first, but it was a huge melting pot of Canary Islanders first, and then a lot of Europeans. So yeah, really fascinating family history. And then there was some Mexico that tied in there. So yeah, my lineage through 5 generations of San Antonians is Italian, Mexican, and Spanish, all kind of mixed together.
So you're a Texican.
Yeah.
It's like when we've been here forever.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you're not, though. You're not.
No, I'm the opposite. Yeah, and actually I am German, so I have that covered. But I moved here in 2010, and for completely reasons that wouldn't think it would bring Ellie and I together, but I was a high school band director. So my dad was a high school band director. My parents were music teachers. It was like the family business. And I graduated from the University of Illinois. I'm from the Chicago area. Okay. And Texas is Mecca for high school marching band. And for band and for especially instrumental and really all music education, at least for now. We'll just leave it at that. We don't need to get into a political discussion here.
At least not band political. We can get out.
I can tell you all about the politics of the band world if you want to hear it. But so anyway, Texas was like I had visited once. I didn't really know anything about much other than the bands are amazing in Texas. And so this opportunity came up at Reagan High School, which I knew the Reagan band. They had done super well at this big national competition that I'd been to, and I didn't really think I had a shot at getting this job. It was the assistant band director, but you know how it goes. You know someone who knows someone, and kind of the stars aligned, offered me an interview, but they said, you could do a phone interview. I'm like, you're not giving me this job if I do a phone interview. So I flew down here. Wow. It was 2 days later, and at the time, that plane ticket was probably all the money I had. But I came down here, interview went super well. And I got the job. So I literally, the first time I ever saw my apartment was when I pulled up to it after driving from Chicago. And my plan was, I'm going to move to San Antonio. I'll do this thing at Reagan for 5 years, and then I'll go get a job back up in the Chicago suburbs where I'm from and where I know people. Obviously, that's not what shook out. Mostly because
people moved to San
Antonio. This young woman next to me. Yeah. So I met Ellie the second year I lived here, actually, which felt at the time like I had been here an eternity already. But not because it was bad. It's just when you're young, time goes slower somehow.
Yes, for sure.
So anyway, we met. Things went well. We're married. We have a child. We have another child on the way.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so
official public announcement of that.
Oh. There we go. All right. Well,
break it.
That's out of the bag.
Baby girl on the way.
That's how comfortable. That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Well. So there you go. But so I was the assistant band director at Reagan, and then in 2015 I became the head band director, and we did really cool stuff like the Macy's Parade and the Rose Parade, and we won all these competitions. It was great. But like I said, my dad was a band director, and so this is all I knew. My whole life was. It's very niche, and to me it didn't feel. It was this is we're a band family. That's normal, right? But turns out it's not that normal once you get out into the world. But
I've never seen that passed down like that.
Yeah. It happens more often.
So actually, yes, it kind of does. But that's I was wild. I knew. I think that I didn't want to do it forever. I'm the type of person that's kind of always looking for the next thing. And so COVID came kind of through a random series of events. I was like, oh, I should go to business school. And that's a whole separate story, but I ended up going to USC in Los Angeles for 2 years, and I got my MBA, and we moved out there, and that's where our son Leo was born, and got a bunch of things going out there. And when it came time, like, what's next after 2 years, we decided, like, we want to come back to San Antonio. There's so much opportunity here, and we felt like we had great relationships and wanted to continue to build on that. We had really, like, interesting ideas that we wanted to develop, and really for me, it's like, LA is a great city. New York's a great city. Chicago's a great city. But like a million of everything already exists there. Yeah. Which for some people might be the allure. But for me, it's like, I want to be a pioneer. I want to be someone that starts something. I want to find the white space and go there. And to me, that was San Antonio. Yeah. And so that's really what drew me back after having a completely random reason for coming here in the first place. It kind of felt like destiny that I was drawn here and then stayed here. So.
Well, and I was raised with that message because I was from here. 5 generations of entrepreneurially minded ancestors, if you will call them. My message was from my parents, you can build anything you want in San Antonio. You can be a bigger fish in a not so small pond, just from the sheer will to do something, because San Antonio has an aspect of very, collaborative and open. There's easier access here to make a dream happen than, maybe in other huge cities. And I've lived and worked in New York. I've lived and worked in LA because I wanted to get out for a while, and I've had, great opportunities to grow in both and learn in both. But that's how I've always felt about San Antonio. And when I was 22 and met Dan for the first time, he was living up in this area where we're filming today.
We're not too far from Reagan.
Yeah, we're very close. And I was living downtown because my family was very downtown centric. My parents were involved in downtown. I mean, every generation going back, downtown was where they lived and worked and played.
Downtown's different in 2010.
It was very different.
Oh yeah,
it was very different.
Yeah.
And the city there was a huge effort on bringing young people downtown. And so when I graduated from Trinity University here in San Antonio in 2011, my first job, I was hired by Downtown Alliance, which is now Centro San Antonio. And that's where I worked. So by October, so I graduated in May, October I was hired there. The next few weeks I moved into the 1221 lofts on Lower Broadway, and there was nothing on Lower Broadway. It was just like 1221 had a rooftop pool, and some bars around it and young people, and it was on the Riverwalk. So I was like, that's where I'm going, and it was a huge effort. And I remember just like this era of any of us who were working and living downtown who were in our 20s, at the time. The paper was constantly putting us in it. It was like the decade of downtown. That's what it was called. And so we were getting just all this. It was a really buzzy, fun time just because the city was trying to build up downtown as a place to be a more livable urban center. And so I was a part of a lot of that development with young professional boards and all these civic engagement things, just out of the sheer luck of my age, at the time. And so it's fun now to, like, that was the first chunk of my career, and then went off to do other things and become a content creator and editor and all this stuff, and then go away and then come back. It's like all of those parts of the story are now merging. And that's how I met our partner, Lorenzo Gomez, who has been on your podcast many a time.
He's a fan favorite.
Yeah, fan favorite. Because he was doing a bunch of work with downtown, just buzziness, right? So he had Tech Block, and he was obviously had just left Rackspace, I think. But he was a part of anything that was exciting and cool for a young person to want to aspire to be a part of. And so we maybe rubbed elbows a few times within like the SA 2020 board, and they had like a younger cohort, and I was a part of arts and culture, all that. At that time, that's how I met Lorenzo.
The 2020 project did great. I thought it did. Yeah. It was really instrumental in like bringing a lot of those things that we have to San Antonio.
Yes.
Like it really did a great job.
Well, and it's funny because like those categories of areas of focus from SA 2020, I feel like are that's kind of inspired how we are covering San Antonio to a certain degree. Arts and culture obviously is something that we feel very strongly about because of Dan's background in the arts, and I also have a very lifelong background in the arts. Not in band, but dance, singing, all that. I used to dance in Market Square when I was young. I was
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we would perform once a month, and I had like a folklorico routine I would do. And,
That's awesome.
all that. So San Antonio's culture has always been so inspiring to me.
And that's San Antonio is very. I break our culture down even to like barbecue.
It is.
Like we
It's
have a
all
very
of it.
specific barbecue.
Yeah.
That's just San Antonio. Like you, when you go to, and I always look at it, it's like, 'cause what do you get in the backyard? Like, and there's too many like barbecue restaurants that do potato salad and coleslaw, and
Right.
you're never going to get that at a San Antonio barbecue.
No, it's so
You're
true.
getting rice, beans,
Yes.
like it's like guacamole, and like that's like we have our we are such a special place.
We are. I mean, we're a melting pot.
Yeah.
We are a true melting pot of
Absolutely.
cultures. And so, all of these experiences and inspirations and, lifelong stories that I have seen or heard, the lore. It's like the lore that you're raised on about the city. That all ended up, and then our feelings about visions for the future of the city and where things are going and how could we, at this point in our careers and our lives, dig in, like create something that helped fuel whatever was going to be, the future of the city, while still honoring the roots,
For sure.
because that's important.
You talk
to
about
me.
like having spent time like in LA and
Yeah.
like, you can't change that city.
No.
There's no way, right?
No.
And like San Antonio, it is such a blank canvas in a lot of ways. And as when you the decade of downtown, like you were the right age, the right time, and all that
Yes.
stuff. It's still like right now with everything that's going on between Austin to the valley with Elon Musk and all of everything that's coming in this South Texas. Like this is the opportunity.
Yeah.
Like there's only certain opportunities in certain places where everything aligns.
Yes.
And there's a great alignment here in San
Absolutely.
Antonio
There
right
is.
I think it's the only city that not only has this opportunity, but also has the authenticity and the
Right.
culture and this just like deep rooted love and tradition, but also still so much room to grow at
Yeah.
the same time. It's pretty unique.
It is, and that's something that I feel very passionate about, and I know Lorenzo does too, just because he and I are both from here. We're born and raised here. There is something, if you talk to anybody who's from Austin, they talk about when the developers came in. San Antonio is great because we don't really let that happen. We haven't to this point. There's tons of development, but the city's soul has remained authentic and it's remained present, throughout all of it. That's also a challenge because it means you grow slower. But I think that, especially with Voice of San Antonio, I feel very strongly about we're not trying to change the city. We're trying to highlight and celebrate what already exists that I don't think gets told in the way that at least I and many other people would like it to be told or highlighted. So we've always focused on tourism and visitor, marketing and all of that, but there is such a special experience living here that when a lot of friends of mine, growing up here, people go away, they go to big cities, they want something different, and then especially when you start to have children, I think that it calls you home.
Absolutely.
Because of, number one, the ease of living here. When you're in a big city and you have a baby, you're like, what am I doing? And then also just the camaraderie and the pace, and for me, the culture, like the vibrancy of our land and artists and all of the things that are going on. I think because of the development from the last 15 years, really, it's made the city a more desirably livable urban core for our age too. So I think that is something with Voice San Antonio that I really want to stress is that how people online, they're like but they say what they're going to say. You want to change this and blah, blah, blah. And the people are so resistant to change here. That's one of the things we're exploring in our content, is like pushing those buttons and seeing how people react. But Lorenzo's first article, one of the first articles that we published was his piece that was, the San Antonio's, what was it? The love-hate. It was basically
you
like...
fall in love with the idea of changing it, and then it fights you every step of the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you did a great response reel to that. But that struck a nerve. That was
Oh, yeah.
really, like, people responded to that like crazy. So that's
something
a
I
sentiment.
fight with all the time, though. It's like
Yeah.
we put sentiment in sticks instead of the people behind the sticks. Like
Right.
like a house. Like I always talk about like tearing down houses that need to be torn down that are in neighborhoods that are protected and stuff like that. And sometimes it's just like like we're trying to protect a memory and something that is. It's time to create something new. Like there's a time to like let go of certain past. It's not that we don't forget it and everything, but we don't have to have whole areas that are dedicated to this one like idea.
That or a random house in the Alamo Dome Park.
Or not.
Right. Oh, and let me let me clarify. I don't mean to say that we're not trying to change the city. We're not trying to change the city, but we are trying to impact people's thoughts about how to move the city forward.
Yeah.
That's where
And I'm
I
not
meant
saying
to say.
tear down Monte Vista or anything.
No.
King William stuff like that.
That is my neighborhood.
I know. I'm not.
I love
but
Monte
like
Vista.
within certain you get to a point. It's like now this area is still protected, but now these
course.
houses, like I get why you got your core of it, right? And it's nice, but then you've got these other houses that are so far gone, so far this,
Yeah.
kind
Of
thing. And
course.
it's like we could do something better there.
And the city fights you every step of the way.
Right.
Fixing them
I know.
up and
Yeah.
bringing them back to life.
Yeah.
I think the whole thing is kind of like the yes and idea.
Right.
It's, it's like
Molly
we can.
Cox,
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
In
I remember
2019, she came and spoke to when we were at Keller Williams. She came,
Uh-huh.
and because she was with the
SA
SA 2020, and her earrings were yes and.
Oh really?
And she mentioned that during the thing. So
Okay,
it's like
that's
you mentioned those
interesting.
things. Susie
Yeah.
says like Molly Cox yes and, and it's like I had never thought of that.
Well, there are so many things in
Yeah.
the world that are yes and. We try to make everything this or this.
Right.
And that's where so many problems come, you know?
Yeah.
And so we can honor our culture and our roots and our heritage and also build cool stuff and new stuff and make it look great and make it all work and when you're talking about how the city is somewhere where your friends go away and then once they have kids they want to come back, which is true and great, but if we keep saying like if Lorenzo was here, if Lorenzo was here, he would say like
Yes.
we need to continue though finding ways to keep the young talent here so that they don't feel compelled to have to leave and then maybe come back.
Right.
They are coming back, and you're right. And I think that because I'm my kids are of that generation, so I've got like some 20-somethings. My son graduated from UTSA. He engineer at Southwest Research, and he went to work for their division out of Boulder.
Oh, okay.
And he spent a year there, and he said, I'm either going to find another job or are y'all going to bring me back? And so now he has a house over here off Worsbach. And he's about to have a kid. And he still works for Southwest Research, which is a great place to work. And
My
everything.
cousin works
But he
for
he wanted to. He was married. He wanted to buy a house, and he's like, look, it's like it costs a fortune up here. It's like he wants to have a family and be able to do stuff with that family.
Yeah.
And like so, and he's having my little grandson soon.
Yeah, it's so exciting.
That's so exciting.
We're not breaking that news. I know that news is broken.
He couldn't hold that one very well.
Yeah, that's just a side note. It's funny when they were telling everybody. So we have a lot of siblings and everything. Like his brother and sisters. His sister was just finishing up a volleyball tournament, like for Rice, like like their conference tournament. Like just lost the final game. Like they're on the bus and nobody's allowed to talk. Nobody's talking everything. And he FaceTimed her.
Oh,
like,
gosh.
she's like,
Oh, my gosh.
it's like there's have a video of him telling her so it's like we can see her reaction. Like,
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah, it was hilarious. Like,
What an exciting time for our family.
Squirrel.
Excited. Squirrel.
No, it's good.
We
Well,
relate.
that takes let's go back into Voice of San Antonio. I wanted to bring it up because y'all have a bunch of different kind of, what do y'all call them? Like, they're
Categories?
Categories?
Yes.
Okay. So let's start. You've got arts and culture, the urban nerd, market and commerce, civic engagement, paint the town, and then you've got videos, I guess. So let's go through each one. Arts and culture. What's your vision overall of each one of these categories and what you're trying to bring to San Antonio?
Well, I can talk a second about arts and culture because I actually just finished an article that went live like a few minutes ago about this organization in San Antonio called the Orchestra San Antonio, and they had their first ever inaugural concert on I guess March 29th at the Tobin Center. They're a resident company at the Tobin Center, and it's a really incredible organization because there are San Antonio-based members, but then a lot of the group are these world-renowned musicians that come in and meet here in San Antonio and rehearse for a week and then put on a concert that I don't know of this happening anywhere else in the world, truly, where it's like an
hybrid almost.
It's a totally different model. It's very innovative. It's super cool. The concert was amazing, and there was a trumpet soloist that was playing Facho Flores. He's literally world famous.
Yeah.
And he was here in San Antonio performing, and there were people from any country almost that you could think of here performing. And so anyway, I don't think that a lot of people. Did you guys know about this?
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Okay,
And this is like a huge thing. It really is.
it's a huge thing, and so we want to highlight and elevate and amplify the arts and culture that are happening in the city because that's so important to. First of all, like we were talking about, keeping young people. Like if you don't have an arts and culture scene that's compelling, then
They're gone.
young people
Yeah.
are less likely to stay. So I think that that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
And like Ellie was saying earlier, so much of what you see is like she always says, the umbrellas on the Riverwalk, which there's nothing wrong with that, but like there's so much more to our city than that. And really, that's kind of directed at tourists.
100%.
Yeah.
So-
I worked at Rio Cantina.
Yes, yeah.
I went there.
It's great. I have nothing against
And it's
it. but-
just tourists.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all it is.
Yeah, and so the word is not getting out about these things,
Yeah.
and so we're trying to change that because I couldn't be more passionate about the arts, just because of my background, how I grew up, what I care about, and so that's kind of the explanation for why that feels important to us, and. The people that see the stuff and interact with it are like, I didn't even know, I didn't know about this. Like, this is getting the word out to people that are already interested in it. They just have to know it's there.
Mm-hmm.
But and these are the things that also are not only great for San Antonians, but it's also what corporate America sees and things.
Absolutely.
And like, why did we lose AT&T as a corporate?
Because we didn't have the
San Antonio,
Performing Arts Center.
we didn't have anything
Yeah.
here, right? So they
Yeah,
left.
exactly.
They left to a bigger city that had
Exactly.
more options.
Yeah.
And so that's awesome.
And the Spurs weren't enough to keep him.
Spurs are a lot, but not.
Spurs are-
Yeah,
Spurs
you gotta
are
have
a
a little more.
The,
Yeah,
They got the Cowboys games to take them to, and
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the urban nerd is the second one. We know a little bit about that. That's Lorenzo's kind of his baby.
Yeah,
His
Lorenzo
lane.
is
His
the urban
lane.
nerd,
Yeah.
essentially.
He
Yeah.
is the
his
urban.
call.
He is the
Yes.
urban
With
nerd.
other great contributors
Yeah.
too, but
Yes.
Which
he
is-
had some swag on his last video. He was like, "This is LG3."
oh right, I know. I watched it. I was like, okay, LG3. All right, let's go.
That's right.
All right, let's go.
And he does a great job of like breaking down
Yes.
of all the politics and what's going on, and he's got such a core knowledge of like the main like Western urban, like the main developers and the people of San Antonio that are built.
Yep.
The things that like you talked about, like it's just umbrellas and for tourists and stuff. The thing that the stat that he gave me the other day, that told us the other day, that I keep quoting, is that 95% of the money that goes downtown isn't staying in San Antonio. It's corporate America somewhere else. All the
That's a great
hotels,
stat.
restaurants,
Yeah.
everything. It's not they're not San Antonio.
Yeah,
Like,
no, that makes sense. I mean, yeah.
So all
if
this
someone's staying at the Hyatt, it's
all
not
this
staying in
tourist
San
money we
Antonio.
get we get some city tax dollars. We
Yeah.
get sales tax and everything, and we build the Alamo Domes and things like that. But we're not really generating wealth within the city.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which goes into the Project Marvel, and like we need.
Yeah.
like,
Well, and again, the
local.
messaging is not is not correct, or what people think is like Project Marvel and what that is and why that is, and the thing about 95% of the money leaving. People who are complaining, I would guess, mostly don't know that statistic alone. Much less what's actually going on, why this could be great for the city. Again, I'm not trying to get political, but I think that just ties in again to why are we doing this? Like having someone like Lorenzo break things down and lay out data and stats that is irrefutable, at least the data and stats, right? I mean,
sure.
he puts a spin on it, of course, but I just think that that's educating people in a way that's going to be super helpful. And then if they still have their opinions, they have their opinions, but at least have the knowledge behind it to make an educated opinion.
And that's where, like, I think we've come to a realization in the country as an entirety that we really need to get our information from our friends and family, like
Right.
more direct to people that we know, like, and trust, instead of through some corporate bureaucracy that's feeding us whatever information they want us to know. And I think that with Voice of San Antonio, like, this is a great opportunity. And we'll shout out. He's starting his the Cilantro Diaries.
Yes,
Right.
yes, yes.
He's got his podcast coming out.
He's
He's got one with Beto
first
Altamirano
episode,
coming out
with Beto. Yeah.
And another great podcast, if you want to know what's going on in San Antonio, is the All Things San Antonio podcast.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes, 100%.
So I think that's just the big thing. Like Project Marvel is just the city has done a bad job of selling it to the citizens.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I
people
saw.
are, sorry to interrupt, always very hung up on where they don't want their tax dollars going. But there's so much to this that if the right information is put out in the right way, I would hope that citizens would understand why, something like this is a great thing to support.
Yeah.
So
I know Ron Naimberg put out a message that
Nuremberg.
they got to do something with the Alamo Dome in order to get future events here in San Antonio to keep it in the running.
Yeah.
As far as updating it and things like
yes.
that. And that's one that, like, it was paid for completely by tax dollars, sales tax, hotel and taxi tax and stuff like that. It wasn't paid for by San Antonians directly.
But I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people didn't think
know
that.
that.
But it's because the reason I know is I was here alive when they were, like, proposing it and everything and voting on it and stuff like that. We need those things. Like, that place is always full, even if it's just a monster truck.
Oh,
rally
that's
or
like
something.
Texas band center of the universe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
marching
I
band.
do this thing where I
There's no obstructed views.
at the Alamo Dome.
Because
You're right. I've never thought about that.
See, and that's what like talking about tearing down the old to build the new. They had Hemisphere Arena.
Yeah.
Where they're talking about Project Marvel, that was Hemisphere Arena. That's where I walked the stage in 1991 when I graduated from Judson. We
nice.
walked at Hemisphere Arena. And I remember the petitions as we were walking across the bridge to go to the Alamo Dome. People were like, save the Hemisphere, save the Hemisphere Arena.
Yeah.
And, like, the city was better off getting rid of it. Now we got Yanagona Gardens, we got the convention center expanded out through there. And it's the same thing. It's like now with the Institute of Texas Culture,
Yeah.
wanting to save it, it's like it's an old building that's beyond its need, if you will.
Sure.
Because the events and things that it honors and puts on, you can still do those.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
You can still do them.
there's a difference between saying the Alamo is an old building, we should tear it down, and
I
like
never said
this
that.
random building that no one was even thinking about until now. I'm just saying, those are two different things. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely. Daughters of the Republic would kill you if you tried to say
Yeah.
that.
I don't
They
know.
will
They got a
come
lot
for
of
you.
sway in this city.
They will come for you.
I don't know. I am not putting opinions out. I'm just stating facts. I just think that those are
It'd
two
be a
different.
great spot for a hotel.
Well, we won't talk. So that kind of there's a really good book that people in San Antonio should not read called "Forget the Alamo."
Oh gosh.
Oh, I've heard of this.
Yeah, it's the one thing that the best part of it, the whole book, is that whether it's true or not, like a lot of the items being donated are from Phil Collins. He's a big collector.
He has a lot of Alamo stuff.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
And according to this book, over half of it's fake.
Oh, my
Really?
goodness.
And they outline like who he bought from and this person and this and everything like that.
Oh my
So
god.
that was the most interesting part about that book. I thought it's like
Bill Collins, an Alamo buff.
it was just crazy that he's
Yeah.
the guy that like collects the Alamo stuff.
Yeah, it's very random.
So, anyways, San
Well,
Antonio,
so interesting fact. My great uncle was Henry Guerra, who was the well-known local newscaster, news anchor. He was on air
during the Alamo.
No, not during the Alamo. But if you go to
What
the
channel was that
Alamo,
on?
right?
WAI, trust me.
He was WAI.
Yeah.
WAI was his on the radio first and then TV. And if you go to the Alamo, he is the one who narrated the 13
Oh,
Days of
really?
the Alamo. Yes.
Oh, wow.
So at the Alamo, his voice is there forever,
That's really cool.
narrating the 13 Days of the Alamo. So he's actually a lot of the inspiration for me behind the name of this platform, because he was called the Voice of San Antonio. He had a bilingual sign-off tagline because he was the first. He called himself at the time the first Hispanic news anchor to use his surname, his real surname on air. So Guerra was his name. And he used to say at the end of all his newscasts, good night, y muy buenas noches. You know, he was like a deep baritone. And so he was, I'll never forget his funeral when he passed away. It was one of those really defining moments of my childhood because I think I was about 12. It was at San Fernando Cathedral down in Main Plaza. And the impact he had on the community, it was one of those it's cemented in my brain forever. Because as a kid, you know, you're walking behind the casket, it's like the whole Catholic funeral, the thing. And Main Plaza was filled. I mean, filled from all different types of people, every which walk of life, and the mariachis were playing, and the cathedral was packed, and that made a really big impact on me as a child, thinking like, look what you could do with your life to represent. You could be a voice for so many others through your work. And that impacted me. And I think I really started from kind of that age becoming interested in storytelling, journalism, you know, media. And so the more we thought about it, since we're talking about the ins and outs of the platform, the more we thought about it and we kind of kept writing it down, it was like, wait, the acronym of this, if you don't say VOSA, right? Yeah. Because everything's SA at the end.
We started VOSA, and then we went to VOS.
And then we went to VOS, but Voice of San Antonio, it's an acronym, but it's also an oral play on the Spanish word for voz, which means voice. Yeah. So it all worked. And so that's a little bit of a personal anecdote about.
That's almost gonna be chill. Like that's
yeah,
like it's
yeah, it is. It is. Cool. So yeah, and I know that you're now clicked on marketing commerce, and we'll quickly circle back to this. But marketing commerce was basically like the street names. That was what we thought of. Literally, Market Street, Commerce Street.
I'm glad you said that because that makes total sense.
Yeah.
It's like
one way.
Yeah.
Right. So we wanted to highlight stories from the business community and especially about like industry, right?
Yeah.
And I know this ties back to arts and culture, but it's all related, all right? Everything's related to one another.
The lines are blurred on
the lines
these,
are blurred.
Yeah.
But arts and culture and marketing commerce, to me, as we continue to develop as one of the big metropolitan areas, at least in the South Texas Triangle, as this all kind of solidifies, like if we don't have creative industry, if we don't have strong creative industry, and I'm talking about like we have a ton of artists here, if we don't have the companies that have the understanding that they have to support the freelancers and they have to solidify this as an industry, like look what we're doing, podcasting. Yeah. Where are we? We are in a strip center. Right, in a mortgage broker's office,
which is great, and we're thankful for it.
American Fun and Drew Colmeyer.
Right, but where is like my dream is to build up something to the point where there is a studio, but it's downtown, and there is and it's independently run. It's not a corporate TV studio, but it is something that we can all use as a media company, and then other people can come and rent out and record. This is the type of thing that like
almost like a geekdom kind of thing
for media.
For me, yeah.
And Lorenzo tried to start that years ago. He was a pioneer. He was ahead of the curve.
Always, yeah.
Just he'll tell you it was the right idea at the wrong time.
But timing is everything.
Timing is everything. But I think like as we begin to move toward, I would like to see visual artists, performing artists, media creators, all this, the infrastructure for our industry to be bolstered, and I didn't know any other way to help that from my little corner of creation other than this type of platform that showcased everybody, merged it all together to show people who wouldn't typically think, we need to be thinking like when we build our bank, we need to be thinking about how to contract this local creative duo or trio or small agency as opposed to calling somebody else outside of town, And that's why I left San Antonio, is because I was a creative and I needed experience doing these types of things, and locally I couldn't find what I thought I wanted to experience. And so that's my hope, is that our children, that they go wherever they want, but that they don't feel the need if they're creative or they're seeking something like this, opportunities like this, that they have to leave.
Yeah.
I know we have a long way to go, but that's part of.
No, but it's interesting because like we've got the seeds. And again, talk about learning like the seeds starting little districts and things like that. When we talk about like the freelance artists and things like that, like I follow like Los Ochos Murals and all those guys.
All
and
the muralists.
Soup Laws.
Yeah.
There's so many muralists in this town that are
You say
like
Soup?
Soup Laws.
You worked with him.
I was going to say, yes. If we're talking about the same
marching
guy,
band.
he spray painted
He's amazing.
our props.
He's
in
amazing.
13 at Reagan.
For marching bands.
Yeah. Because we like won this food bank thing where we gave the most amount of food, and so as a reward, that's
crazy.
blast from the
Yeah.
past. But yes, continue. Sorry.
Yes,
No,
but
but
also
like, all
like
these guys,
building
they-
up film, building up production, building up all these other things so that, the visual arts and the media arts can
And
all.
again, it goes back to like timing. I was watching a thing, Rob Lowe and one of the guys from Parks and Rec. They were having like the little conversation, and they were talking about filming. And they're like, there's a show that Rob Lowe hosts called The Floor, where they have 100 people come in or something like that, and instead of filming in California, they film it in Ireland. He said it's
interesting.
cheaper to fly all
the way
those
there.
Crazy
people
is
to
that?
Ireland
Yeah.
and film there. And they were like, if we were filming Parks and Recreation right now, it'd be filmed in Budapest instead of. And it's like, so like nothing's getting done in these places that people typically think of or thought of as like your creation areas,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
'Cause
it's all changing up. Like,
Yeah.
I think Avengers is recorded in like Georgia now.
Oh yeah,
Like,
Atlanta and Georgia is huge.
Chick-fil-A
for
has a
filming.
huge filming studio. Or Chick-fil-A owns a huge filming
wow.
studio there.
Yeah. Well, and we
Then you have
need
50
just
Cent
like
with-
hopefully San Antonio becomes a
Get Mark
a place,
Rodriguez, man.
right?
He's made some movies.
He has five
He does
kids.
everything in Austin, though, I think.
Yeah, but even Austin is more expensive
A lot, yeah.
now.
But isn't it
So-
crazy? Because like I think sometimes this is kind of tended like being here at the right time, right place. It felt like all the podcast. I'm a big stand-up comedian fan. They're all now in Austin.
Oh, yeah.
Like all
Oh, yeah.
their podcasts I listen to.
All the
they
podcast
talk
guys
about
are in
HEB.
Austin.
They talk about HEB and Buc-ee's.
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
know.
what's going
It's
on?
bizarre. I know.
It's
It's
bizarre.
so
Where it's
bizarre.
like, why
I
are we all
listened
coming
to an
here?
episode of a podcast where the host was British and the guest was British, and they were talking about San Antonio because they were in Austin, and I was like, what is happening?
That's
Yeah.
the thing. It's like San Antonio. We're at the precipice of something that can really become awesome
Yes.
if we do it right.
Yeah.
What did I always say? The precipice of abundance.
Yeah.
I would always say that.
Hey.
I feel like, well, just
Yeah.
personally, but
Yeah.
No, I
hopefully.
love that.
But the city
Precipice of
has
abundance.
all the opportunity. It is the right moment, and now it's just time to act on it. Like
Absolutely.
everyone's always like, well, yeah. Everyone always says that. One day. Like I think the one day is now. It's just now we all need to act on it.
It goes back to when you were like looking and you're like, I can't get this job if I do a phone interview.
Yeah.
So what did you do? You
Yeah,
acted.
strode down.
You
Yes.
got on a
Oh, yeah.
plane. You got
Yes.
down here and you did something.
Yes.
You didn't just sit back and wait.
Yeah.
Right.
And the people that are going out and acting right now are like, and not sitting around saying, oh, the world is coming to an end and all that. If you're just going out and moving forward,
It's like
we're on the
Andy.
precipice
Yeah.
of abundance.
See, it's a good one, right?
I
It's
love
a
that.
good one, right?
Bro,
Yeah.
And
You
the
trademark
thing is,
that.
though-
That's a t-shirt. That's a t-shirt.
I
Precipice of
haven't thought.
abundance.
I say it all the time. Yeah, it's a good one.
I mean-
Cut that out of there. So we got to save them.
And we're gonna get hate for that, like from the people who.
Greedy. We're called greedy.
Yeah, we're gonna get hate for
Oh,
that.
but
from,
it's so not that. It's
It's not.
just
It's not that.
trying to be fulfilled and help
It
other
go-
people
and
be
it's
fulfilled.
funny because from here to there, this is a great segue. The next one on here is the civic engagement.
Yeah.
And that's really like you can, all these things. It's about bringing up like there is no money for the arts except out of altruism. Like
Yeah.
for the most part.
That's actually a really good way of putting that,
Yep.
and it's sadly pretty true.
Because like it's especially like an orchestra and
Right.
we when I got married we had the kid across the street was an amazing violinist.
Oh yeah.
And so we had a 4-string quartet. Freshman from Alma Heights did.
Oh nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
That's cool.
But like, there's not a lot of like opportunities, and you got 100 people on stage, and like you'd have to really make money for them to sell the
Absolutely.
amount of money you'd have to sell the tickets for. You're not gonna get people there, so it's really gonna have to come from the civic.
Yeah.
Yes, you're 100% right. And that's what. So that's true because this orchestra concert I went to, Phil Green, the chairman and CEO of Frost Bank, spoke for a minute because
They presented. They were the
they were
main
presenting
sponsor.
sponsor and
Yeah.
they've really invested in this because they believe in it. And so we need more of that, and we also need more people knowing that this exists so that the tickets are bought and then they can raise the prices to what they really deserve to be, so that all of that is a self-fulfilling sort of functioning organization. That's how you can, it's arts organizations struggle because they do rely on what you said, altruism. They rely on people donating. They rely on people who just love it and are willing to give them something for kind of nothing, if you mean in terms of some physical return on their investment, other than just beautiful art being created in the world. So
we don't want to live in a gray world.
No.
That's exactly right. There's a story, and it's a little bit unclear if it's true or not, but it's a good story, so I'm going to say it's true, that when Winston Churchill during the war, was asked about cutting funding for the arts to fund the war, his response was, what are we fighting for then?
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of, whether it's true or not, I think that's a great, at least, anecdote to kind of remember, because if we don't have that, you don't picture your life without any of that. And if none of it existed, it would be very dull.
I know, like, my favorite things to do is like go to the Southwest Arts Fair, go to the Clay Festival, we're not the craft shows. Like, no offense to people that do crafty stuff that like 100 different people are doing, but like the ones that are we had a podcast last with Yuli Cheng from Curator Coffee.
Oh, cool.
She's a ceramicist that like makes her coffee mugs. And then you order coffee and you drink out of the coffee mug that she made. Yeah. And she has other people come in so they can
makes a difference.
It does.
Yeah.
But it's the market and commerce and civic engagement all working together.
Yeah, exactly.
And she opened it up because she got turned down in selling her art a bunch of different places.
See?
So she said, I'm going to make my own place to sell my art. And I'm going to give other amateurs a place where they can sell their art.
What's the name of it? We got to go.
It's Curator Coffee. It's on Jones Maltzberger.
Oh, okay.
Right there where the HEB is, Jones Maltzberger and Thousand Oaks.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Kind of
Kind of
where Caparelli's was.
Okay,
I think it may still be there.
We're going to check it out.
We're going to check it out.
That's great. Yeah. I love that.
It's a great
We
place.
should maybe do a story. Like, it'd be a great
We
story.
should. Yeah, we'll reach out. Yeah.
Tell us stop by and to collaborate on
Yeah,
it.
no, exactly. But there's so much of that going on now where people are like, I'm just going to create it myself. And if there's enough of that, then it becomes sustainable industry, and it's supported and it's what it needs to be.
And not to toot our own horn, but like that's the whole, like, we started this podcast a little over a year ago, and it was okay. We just need to do something. We've got to start something. We started talking about real estate, this and that, and everything, and then it morphed into like really what our passion was. Because we were just talking about San Antonio. It's like small business owners, restaurateurs. Right. These are the stories that we need to hear about San Antonio. Mm-hmm. Like, our whole thing is, again, just like I was like, let's get y'all in here and like tell your story, and like it's kind of what everybody is. I don't know. Everybody should be doing this, like lifting everybody. We're in the world of abundance at the precipice at the same time.
Exactly. It is interesting. It's kind of simultaneously happening. Yeah.
We can rise the tide.
Yeah, rising the tide is raise all boats, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the Paint the Town's the last one. That's the fun stuff, I'm guessing, where all the partying happens.
Exactly. But for good cause, right? So there is talking about philanthropy, the arts. It's the storytelling accounts of the events that support the institutions and many other organizations that are pillars of the community and are able to give so much back to the community through their work, like the McNay, McNay Art Museum. They have so many programs. And so as we're covering these stories, these to me, like growing up in San Antonio, these are all the organizations that we went to that that make culture, right? Mm-hmm. That make the culture of like loving living here, right? So there are so many initiatives that are happening to further causes and to further culture, and so this is our category of how to highlight that. And there are also always such amazing things going on at these like visionary programs. And, like this Mind Science Foundation in San Antonio, it gives $100,000 grant to young neuroscientists. And this is the event, the gala, if you will, that celebrates that milestone that they achieve every year. But it's a hugely important cause.
That's a local foundation?
Yes, started by a local guy, Tom Slick, generations ago.
He's
you know.
he's Southwest Research.
Yes,
That's
this
what
is
we got.
all related, yeah. And their chief science officer, who they've brought on to help guide their current, endeavors, he's maybe 35 max, I would guess.
But he's killing
He
it.
is amazing, and he's a huge, he's got a huge following on Instagram because he talks about neuroscience and he breaks
He's
it
like
down.
the Carl Sagan of neuroscience. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like he makes it very relatable. He's got a huge Instagram following.
Yeah.
He lives in Buffalo.
Yeah. He lives in Buffalo, New
He lives
York.
in Buffalo, but he's starting to call San
That'd be
Antonio
a tough,
a
podcast.
second
I know.
home. Yeah, but he's
Such a nice
great.
guy. We were talking to him that night. We were there.
But don't you think everyone in San Antonio should know that?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah.
Like that's the things. There's so many cool things
Right.
that go on behind the scenes because
Yes.
a lot of our philanthropists, they like to stay hidden.
Exactly.
Which
They
is
don't want-
fine.
Which is fine.
But
They
there's
don't
a way
want-
to
they don't-
highlight it without having to say such and such name, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's why highlighting these events is, we think, a really cool way to do that.
Yeah.
Because you get to see a celebratory event and some nice pictures, but what's behind it is what really matters to
And
you.
Yes.
that's just the
Yes.
pride in our town.
Right,
And I call us
exactly.
a town. It's like,
Yes.
I know we're a city,
Yeah.
but it's like, it's
I know.
No,
But
it
it
is,
is
yeah.
small
Big
town.
city,
I mean-
small town. That's what everyone says.
Oh,
Right?
we're such a small town. Like,
Yeah.
And also, it's fun, as you're curating content for an audience. There's an element of fun, glamorous, like that we wanted to have here.
Yeah.
That we have more, I would say, like articles like Lorenzo that you want to chew on for a little bit. They're thinking pieces, but then there's also lifestyle pieces, and
Yeah.
this is part of what makes San Antonio a fun city. And there are many different types of lifestyles in San Antonio, but this category helps us highlight kind of some of the glamour.
And it's going to bring, it helps bring in like-minded people that, this is
Right.
something that people want to take part in at the same
Right,
time. And it's
right.
like, it is the fun.
And
Yeah,
it's not,
yeah.
accessible to everybody
I like
per
to put
se.
my nice boots on every now and then.
But right.
Yeah. Well, and if somebody doesn't know about the Mind Science thing and they see that there's an opportunity to donate, and all of a sudden they've seen this now and they want to get involved,
Right.
that's how you spread the word.
yeah.
So.
That's awesome. Well, that's awesome. I really appreciate that. So now we come down to the two toughest questions that we have.
Okay.
The first is, what's your go-to burger in San Antonio?
Oh man.
So we gotta see if you're right or wrong.
I might get some flack.
You're going
flack
to
for
get
this.
flack if you don't say the right answer.
I think this is. I don't know who. For me, honestly, it's Cured. I don't know if you've ever been
wow.
there. I'm guessing most people wouldn't say that because it's not your typical burger. It's not a burger joint.
It's not a burger
Yeah.
joint.
Great spot, but it's like 50% beef, 50% bacon patty with just like
He jumped it up there.
and then you can get a single, double, or triple. So you have options.
So they're the thin patties?
Yeah,
They're pretty thin,
pretty
sort of like
thin.
smashed patty.
There's just something about it. I don't know. That's what
And then
I'm
what's
not a native, so I'm allowed to have.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to have
Well, then-
controversial answers.
We won't say
what's
that's
their-
a wrong answer.
That's,
Yeah.
that's,
That
okay,
sounds really
that's
good.
a different answer.
We also lived-
You are unique.
Okay,
Yes.
see, there
The
we
guy
go.
from
All right,
Chicago.
all right. I got
Yeah.
it. I escaped.
And just
Yeah.
so you know, so being in Chicago, are you excited that Portillo's is coming?
Portillo's.
It is Portillo's, but I understand why you would say Portillo's. That makes a lot
That's
of
the
sense.
proper
San
pronunciation.
Antonio.
It's one of
San
those things,
Antonio.
right? It's like it was so cool that it was a Chicago thing, and that was very like a lot of pride, and you had to go there to have it, and it was special. So there's a little bit of like, it's a little sad, but yeah, I mean, it's cool to have it.
So it's kind of like when Whataburger spread.
Exactly.
Yeah, or like In-N-Out
Yeah.
Burger,
Yeah.
right? That was like only Southern California or
Yeah.
whatever, and then all of a sudden you see it in
Now they're
some place
sold
where you're
out.
like, this doesn't make any. They came to Texas, right? You're
Yeah.
like, what are we doing? So I don't know. It's good and it's bad.
Now they just need to bring, what's the pizza place y'all have there?
There's a couple. Giordano's, Lou
Giordano's,
Malnati's.
yeah,
Giordano's,
Yeah.
Uno's is good, yeah.
Yeah, deep
But
dish.
they're too thick.
It's
What?
too much. It's
Calm
too
down. Calm down.
Like, whoa.
I will say it's not almost fair to call it's like a different food.
It's
Yeah, it's like a
Different kind of
pie
Yeah,
or
it's
something.
like a
like
lasagna,
casserole.
pizza, casserole. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which people from Chicago now will probably obliterate me. But
Yeah.
that's fine.
Well, whatever. They can obliterate me because I'm not from there, and I've been visiting there for
What's your
13
favorite
years.
burger? Yeah, you got to put yourself
Okay,
on the line.
so first of all, I want to say the cure. I wanted
it has to have a caveat up front, a qualifier.
The curd good.
Yes,
Yeah, cured.
and.
Yes, and so cured we love because we lived at the Pearl for many years, so it was just like a go-to. And also, they have a crazy, well-priced happy hour. What time is it?
Oh, they do. It's like
The
3
burgers-
to 6 every day.
3 to 6 every day. The burger's literally $6.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
it's
Like,
insane. So yeah.
McDonald's price.
Shout out to Cured. Yeah.
less than McDonald's. Like
Less, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
I don't know what McDonald's costs
But
these
more.
days, but I don't even
Yeah.
care. But
Less, but
more.
Exactly.
So anyway, that's the thing about cured. For me, I mean, man, I've had a lot of good burgers, but just based on loyalty and childhood and storytelling.
I'm going to say the right answer.
So you're not gonna know, but
on.
Bombay Bicycle Club.
Yeah. Oh
okay,
wow.
okay. That's
On
that is
Fredericksburg location
definitely
or the
up
downtown?
The Fredericksburg
Oh, you're
closed,
Trinity.
but-
You're the Trinity
Yes.
girl. Yeah,
So
yeah. I've got Trinity friends. Yeah.
my best friend.
That's nostalgia.
My best friend from childhood. Her parents owned Bombay Bicycle Club, and she is now owner of Bombay. And so to this day, it's just childhood, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I
To
grew
this
up.
day.
I grew up in that neighborhood over by Trinity, so
Yeah.
we were just always there. I would have all my birthday parties there, and we would. Because their parents were restaurant owners, bar owners, we would play there. Because they would say, okay, if you're coming over to play, we were there for hours while they were literally working the restaurant. And so we would run back and forth behind the bar, make ourselves milkshakes at the behind the bar.
those
and
are
have, like, a
acceptable
milkshake machine.
answers.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh wow, we
But
did
Mr.
it.
Juicy,
Wow.
Yeah.
but Mr. Juicy's the right answer.
No. I will tell you, because of all the Mr. Juicy hoopla, I'm an avid antiquer, right?
Okay.
And so I'm an antiquing enthusiast, and Hildebrand, I am
Yeah.
always on Hildebrand to
Yeah.
go like scout what's going on at Robert's Place on the right, and then Carmen's Place on the left. And so one day
Spent a lot of time down at Yaya's when it was open downtown.
no, but
You know what I'm talking
no,
about?
I didn't. No, I don't know what.
I'll have to tell you.
Okay. So anyway, one day I was just like about to pass out. I was too busy going between all the stores and needed something to eat, and I needed it in 2 minutes or I was gonna faint. And I remember like, oh, Mr. Juicy Burger, it's right there. And I went in and I didn't even order a burger. I ordered a chicken sandwich.
That sounds
This
sacrilegious.
It was sacrilege. I'm like, this
No,
is
they have
dumb.
a great chicken
Okay,
sandwich.
all right,
It was amazing. It
this
was
big.
amazing.
It's like
And,
3 patties.
Like I'm a huge. It's Andrew Weissman, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, all his restaurants. When I was in high school, college, it's like as you're starting to understand that there's more in the world than Chili's. His restaurants were the only ones that
At the
were
time.
yes at the time, and it was
Which is a testament to the growth of the city, because look how many
Absolutely.
great restaurants we have
Absolutely.
now. And it's not that long.
We had
Yeah.
him on the podcast, and like he talked about Le Rev when he first.
Le Rev. That's
Le Rev.
that's where my parents would go to dinner.
Yes.
With their friends. They're like, oh, we're going to Le Rev. That was like a big deal.
He got written up in New York Times.
Yes.
A
Wow.
full page.
Wow.
And then the Salted Brunais flying into San Antonio to have Le Rev. Like,
Yes.
he's the beginning
Yeah,
of
yeah.
like
Oh,
the
yeah.
Renaissance
Yes.
in San Antonio.
We
in a lot
miss
of
El
ways.
Sonio
Like,
at the Pearl.
Oh
That was
my
a
gosh,
favorite
El
of
Sonio
ours.
was
Yeah.
great.
Sonio's
And then
great.
the
We always do
the
Italian
sandbar.
for Christmas Eve dinner.
Oh, nice.
Like
yeah.
we've gone
That's
through
right,
all
that's
of
right.
them. Like
Yeah.
that's the
That's
best.
If we're
the
with
right
her
answer.
family,
It's
we
the
do
best
Italian
Christmas
for
Eve dinner,
all the
man.
dinners.
Yes.
around
Oh,
then,
man.
Yeah.
No, but Sandbar. I miss that restaurant
Oh, yeah,
so
Sandbar
much.
was great, too.
It first was it was downtown. I think it was on Commerce, wasn't it? It was on, I can't remember what street it was. It was next to a Greyhound bus station, like right by, somewhere over there. And then he moved to the Pearl. But I remember the downtown location and going there with friends whose parents liked to go there when I was about 18, 19. And I remember just feeling so special. It was like, this was such a special experience.
That was super special. Like that was. There's nothing. You didn't get dinners like that in San Antonio.
No.
It's like unless you're going to like the Argyle or going to the country
Right.
club. Like,
Sure.
Exactly.
Like there's no restaurant where the public was walking in.
No.
And having
Elevated dining.
super elevated.
Yeah.
His stories, and it's the same thing. Like he was down. Like I love like actions like stories. He
Mm-hmm.
was going to be a reporter.
What?
Oh,
He was down in
interesting.
Mexico, and he was cooking dinner for everybody that he was down there with. And someone said, "You should go and become a chef." And he said, "Okay," and went to New York.
Okay, I'll go.
I love that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Swear, yeah,
That's
it's a
incredible.
great
Like
podcast.
Culinary Academy.
It's
Yeah.
like just took off. It said,
That's
"Okay,"
amazing.
it said,
Gotta
"That
listen to
sounds
that.
good," and did it.
I love
Wow.
that.
It's
I
crazy.
love that.
So the second question:
Yeah.
breakfast tacos.
Oh man. Oh man. Oh man. Oh man.
They're the scariest questions, aren't they?
That's a
Okay,
hot button
this
issue.
is a hot button issue in
Oh
our
my
household
gosh.
right now.
Well, from Reagan, what are you going to say? Wedos over here?
We would
No,
go to Perico's, but now it's like an
Perico's,
optical eye
doctor
doctor
place.
thing. It's so weird for me to drive by it now and see it be the same shaped building because it's very unique looking.
Yeah, we're
and
going
it'd
to
be
say Tara.
like an eye
Yeah, it's
doctor,
like
not
Tara.
not a taco place. But
We miss Perico's. Rip.
yeah,
but,
it's good.
Okay.
My big thing is that I want to write like an article about this, and I'm glad to have the opportunity to say this. Every coffee shop should be legally obligated to sell breakfast tacos in San Antonio.
But you gotta depend on the breakfast taco.
Well,
Like it has to be like a San Antonio breakfast taco,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
like
yeah.
a Revolution coffee breakfast taco, or like the. You know what I mean? Like,
We do love Revolution.
We do love
it's
Revolution.
good, but,
Hey,
it's
but you get
it's not
avocado
all
toast.
the
No,
time.
but you know what?
They
Okay,
have
so
great avocado toast.
no,
They got the
but
pepitas
have
and
you
the-
tried the burrito?
I have not. But
Okay, try the burrito.
I look at it and I'm like, that's not a San Antonio.
no, you're right. There's a difference because
You're
like
on the southeast side. They
Pullman
gotta-
Market, I love Pullman Market,
Yeah.
and I got the breakfast tacos, and I was like, these are good, but this is the furthest thing from a San Antonio breakfast
Yeah.
taco that
Yeah.
you can get. But it's good. It's great.
I like having many options.
We
but-
still haven't answered the question.
Yes, and.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Mitzi
I
would
grew
go
up.
crazy.
It's because I grew up in Monte Vista. It was always taco, El Milagrito.
Yeah.
But since there was another, oh my God, there was another place called Cafe Salsita that was on Cafe Salsita on Bassie. Bassie and no, what's it called?
We went there before it closed.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it closed maybe in 2012 or something, but
Mm.
that was a favorite. That was like in the rotation, and people will probably remember this place. Where the Paisanos is, you know, in that shopping
yeah.
center. They were great. Their migas were excellent. Now, in the past, I would say 10 years, Panchitos on McCullough has been our go-to.
Yeah, Panchitos. That's usually where we
Panchitos
go.
is usually where we go, and
They don't have a drive-through.
well, no, but they have a drive-up.
And they come
So
out.
they come out.
Oh, they
Since
come out.
COVID,
Yeah.
yeah. So now
So-
they just come out, they bring you your thing, give them the card.
Yeah.
It's almost better than a drive-through.
And because we have a toddler, we do this routine. It's like, what's part of your routine,
Yeah.
right? So we take him to the zoo train on the weekend mornings usually.
That's fun.
So we get him really hyped up, and we're like, what type of taco do you want today? And he's starting to say,
You wonder why he goes crazy.
yeah, he's starting to
You
say,
get really hyped up.
migas, you know? And I'm like, that's right, that's
What
right.
we asked for
That's-
last time.
Mom's
was
favorite,
migas.
migas.
That's how you know
This is
you're doing it
hilarious.
right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so anyway, we call Panchitos. They're on as we leave the garage. As we pull into Panchitos, they're ready.
There you go.
We got it down.
We eat them in the car. We go to the zoo train. You know, it's like a thing.
Process. It's systems.
So what's the right answer?
There is anything south of 410. Like
Oh,
of course.
anything south of the airport.
I tell
is
everybody, I'm
acceptable.
super hyped up right now. Chris Stapleton was at my taco spot
Oh yeah.
this last week when he was in town for the Final
For the
Four.
Final Four, yeah.
Which one?
What's your taco spot?
It's called Taqueria Jalisco number 4.
Okay, so there's always
You know what I
Jalisco,
mean? Like-
there's Guadalajara,
Yeah.
there's all these.
My thing is like if you don't know, if you're like in an area of San Antonio that you're not familiar with and you see an old Whataburger building that's now a
taco place?
it's
Go
okay.
there.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
go there.
It's going to be decent.
awesome.
Well, there's a taqueria Jalisco on. I think that's what it is.
On
It's a
McCullough?
drive-through on McCullough, but like near St.
Yeah.
Mary's.
It always has a
Yeah.
line
Always
wrapped
has a
around
line.
the place.
And I'm
no
like-
windows.
Yeah,
but-
no windows but a line.
Is that
I'm
Fred's
like,
fish fry?
That's how you know it's good.
That's how you know it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, we've been to Blanco Cafe, right? Blanco Cafe when we were on Blanco doing antique things. That was good. I feel. Did we have
Oh, yeah.
tacos
I
there?
don't
Maybe
know.
you didn't have them
Yeah.
with
Like
me.
the
That's-
cafe's an old standard.
Yeah, that's-
A staple.
Those are good answers,
Old
though.
San Antonio
Yeah.
staple.
I think we
We had
navigated
somebody
that pretty
say
well.
Taco Cabana. And we
No,
destined to leave.
sacrilege. I mean, listen.
I won't not eat a taco
Yeah.
from there,
But
but,
it's
they
not
can be
like-
your favorite.
It's not as good as it used to.
Yeah.
It used to
But
be
we
better.
run the game. We also have someone that came on. Mitzi was great. Like she's like when she talked about La Panaderia. She did not like this. Like this is like it's because she's like from like Mexico City. Like this is like that's like blasphemy to her. It's
Really?
Like,
Really?
yeah.
Oh,
'cause it's-
interesting.
He's over there not
My favorite quote.
That's a
my
go-to
favorite
for
quote
us,
from
I'm not
her
gonna lie.
is-
like Puro San Antonio. It's great, but if you're like Puro Mexico,
Yeah.
it's not so great.
Well, yeah.
If you couldn't tell, I'm not Puro Mexico. If you couldn't tell, I don't know.
You're German. We
I'm
heard
trying.
that.
I'm trying
There
to
are
assimilate.
a lot of Germans in Mexico, though.
They are,
Yes, there
yeah.
are. Yeah, it was easier to migrate back in the 30s.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, so
Absolutely.
we survived those fire
We
rounds.
survived. That's all we got. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you
you.
guys
I
for
hope
having
you-
us.
Thanks for coming on. Do
Yeah,
us a favor,
yeah.
hit that like and subscribe button. Go check out the Voice of
Check
San
out their
Antonio.
newsletter, voiceofsanantonio.com.
Yep.
They got a great newsletter. Urban Nerd. Check out Lorenzo's newsletter too.
LG3. Peace.